Greetings of the day to all of you. I welcome you all to yet another lecture on power quality problems and solutions. We have already completed our discussions on various types of power quality issues in single phase systems, in three phase systems. Like in single phase systems, we discussed the issue of harmonic distortion caused by nonlinear loads and also reactive power. In three-phase systems, we discuss various types of power quality issues like three-phase unbalance, three-phase distortion in the voltages and currents, then distortion as well as unbalance. We discussed three-phase sinusoidal balance system first, which does not suffer from any power quality problem. Then we discussed three cases in which we discussed different type of power quality problems, like three-phase sinusoidal unbalanced system, where due to the unbalanced load, the voltages at point of common couplings also become unbalanced. And then we discussed three-phase balanced but non-sinusoidal system, where voltages and currents both have got distortions. And we discuss the three-phase unbalanced and non-sinusoidal system also. Now, having discussed all these types of power quality issues like unbalance and reactive power and harmonics, etc., we have to now discuss the compensation. So let us discuss today. The topic of today's discussion is fundamental theory of load compensation. We will go for now load compensation. I write here fundamental theory of load compensation. The question is, why do we need to compensate load? Load compensation means that we have to compensate the load, because it is the load which causes most of the power quality problems. There is hardly, only a very few power quality problems are there on the source side or from the source side. Even the voltages which are there present at point of common coupling, when they become distorted, which factor is responsible for distortion in the voltage at point of common coupling? Generated voltage is sinusoidal. So it is not the generation side which is responsible. It is the load. If the load is nonlinear, it results in the drawing of distorted currents, and we already know that distorted currents cause distortions in the voltage at point of common coupling because of line impedance. So therefore, distorted currents cause distorted voltages at the point of common coupling. And when these distorted voltages are fed to various types of single phase and three phase loads, those loads start maloperating. They start giving problems, which we have already discussed in earlier lectures. Another power quality issue which is also caused by load is poor power factor. Okay. The load may result in drawing a large reactive power because of poor power factor, and because of poor power factor, since large reactive power and hence large reactive component of current flows, it causes additional copper losses, I square R losses in the lines, and it also results in additional drop in the line, and hence resulting in poor voltage regulation. And because of large flow of the reactive power due to poor power factor of the load, you may have to replace the existing system by a system having higher volt ampere rating, higher apparent power rating. Because active power remaining same, power factor deteriorates, that means reactive power increases, so therefore the apparent power which is drawn from the source increases. So therefore the apparent power rating of generators, transformers, transmission lines, etc., it has to be increased. Can we afford to do so? No, simply no. We cannot replace an existing costly system by another system of higher power rating. Another problem which is also caused by load is unbalance. Like unbalance is not there in single phase systems, because there is nothing like unbalance in single phase loads. Unbalance is caused in three phase systems. In last lecture we solved a couple of numerical examples where we have seen that the source voltage was balanced, but load impedances were unbalanced. Because of unbalance in the loads or load impedances, the load currents drawn or the line currents drawn become unbalanced, and they cause unbalanced voltage drops across the feeders, across the lines, and hence the voltage which is available at the point of common coupling, that also becomes unbalanced. And we know that this unbalanced voltage, when it is fed to an induction motor, a three-phase induction motor, it gives additional power losses, and there are additional additional copper losses in the line itself, that is feeder losses. Another power quality issue which is also created by the load is DC offset. Like if you have a half-wave rectifier, single-phase half-wave rectifier or three-phase half-wave rectifier, it will result in offset in the currents and hence offset in the voltages. So therefore we can say that which loads need compensation? Loads which cause poor power factor. Poor power factor means large reactive power. Okay. Harmonics, unbalance, and DC components, they require compensation. Require compensation. You don't need to compensate your generation system, because that is perfectly balanced and sinusoidal. Okay, it's the load which causes all these power quality problems. Your load may result in poor power factor and hence large reactive power. Your load may be non-linear and hence it will result in the injection of harmonics in the currents and hence harmonic voltage drops, and hence the voltage at the point of common coupling will also become distorted because of these harmonics. It is the three-phase unbalanced load which will cause unbalanced voltages and currents in the system, and then it is the load which will cause DC components in the system. What type of loads cause poor power factor, harmonics, unbalance, and components? A few loads are like, let me give you examples. Electric arc furnaces. Electric arc furnaces cause tremendous harmonics in the system because they are, they inject large harmonics into the system, and they also result in poor power factor. Induction furnaces. Induction furnaces are also responsible in harmonic injection in the currents and hence voltages. Okay, sugar mills, steel rolling mills, sugar mills, steel rolling mills using adjustable speed drives. ASDs means adjustable speed drives. Half-wave rectifiers, and other power electronics based loads. PE based means power electronics based loads. There are numerous examples of other power electronics based. Electric arc furnaces and induction furnaces, they cause harmonic injection. Sugar mills, steel rolling mills using adjustable speed drives, they cause harmonic injection and also poor power factor. And then unbalance also may be there in the system. If you have a three-phase four-wire system, if the single-phase loads are not properly balanced, distributed, that will cause unbalanced load. And unbalanced load will result in unbalanced flow of line currents, and hence that will result in unbalanced voltages at the point of common coupling. And DC components are caused by half-wave rectifiers. Half-wave rectifiers result in the flow of DC currents in the transformers, in the lines, and they cause DC offset, DC current offsets, and DC voltage offsets. And there are other power electronics based loads which are responsible for poor power factor, increased reactive power, harmonics, unbalance, and DC components. So in general, all these types of loads are broadly classified into three categories. Number one, three-phase unbalanced load. This is one category. Second category is three-phase unbalanced and non-linear load. Non-linear load. And third category is three-phase unbalanced non-linear load with DC offsets or DC components. DC offsets means DC components. Okay. You may have a three-phase sinusoidal load, but it may be unbalanced. Okay. Second category of three-phase load is unbalanced as well as non-linear load. When it is unbalanced as well as non-linear, so that means in addition to unbalance, it will cause harmonic distortion also. Third is three-phase unbalanced non-linear load. That means it is unbalanced and it causes distortion, and simultaneously it causes DC offsets, that's DC components. So therefore these loads are categorized into these three categories. So therefore we need to compensate. Okay. Now for compensating the loads against these power quality issues like poor power factor, harmonics, and unbalance and DC components, you need compensators. So you have to properly design the compensators, and you have to, when you design the compensator, it's not that you just get a compensator, connect it across the load for load compensation. No, it cannot be a hit and trial method. You have to properly design the compensator. You have to first of all see what type of power quality problems are created by your load. Is it only distortion and poor power factor, or it is distortion, poor power factor, and unbalance also, or is it only unbalance? Okay, or is it only poor power factor? Okay, depending upon the type of power quality problem, you have to design the compensator, put that compensator across the load, so that will compensate for these power quality problems, and hence your system will become a pure system. It will not have any, it will not cause any problems to the system. So therefore you have to find a proper relationship between source, load, and compensator. Okay, and you have to model each one of them. You have to do the modeling while designing the compensators. You have to do the modeling of source and compensator also. Okay, how do you model the source? When you do the load compensation, you have to model the source as Thevenin's equivalent voltage source. Thevenin's equivalent voltage source. And you know how to find a Thevenin's voltage source. Its voltage will be open circuit voltage and then internal impedance. And how do you model the compensator? The compensator is either modeled as variable impedance or source or sink of variable reactive power. Variable reactive current, I will write. Variable reactive current. That means variable reactive power. This is how do you model the compensator. It should either absorb the reactive power or it should generate or inject the reactive power. So therefore, when you model the compensator, you can do modeling by two ways. Either model it as a variable impedance or model it as a source of reactive power or sink of reactive power, depending upon the requirement. So once you do the modeling, then you go for the design. Okay. Now let us take two cases for load compensation. First case is to correct the power factor, and second case we will later on take, maybe in next lecture, to improve the voltage regulation of the load. So we will today take first case, that of power factor correction, that is PF correction. PF correction is also called reactive power compensation. Reactive power compensation. So this is the aim. Let us see the working of the compensator, how a compensator, shunt compensator, can be used, designed, connected across the load for compensating the reactive power or for improving its power factor. Say, let us assume the power factor has to be improved from, say, 0.6 or 0.5 to unity. Okay, so therefore our first power quality problem that we have taken is poor power factor, and let us see how we can use a compensator, a shunt compensator, for improving the power factor, for correcting the power factor. That means for reactive power compensation. For this, let us take a simple single phase AC system as shown below. So for example, this may be our single phase AC system. This is the bus, and bus voltage is V, and this is the current, source current IS, and this is, for example, our load. This is the load which needs to be compensated. This is the load, and let us assume load current is IL. Okay, now IL is same as IS, load current is same as source current. And what is the voltage across this load? The voltage across this load is V, where V is the bus voltage. Now let us assume that this load is at a low power factor. It's a lagging power factor load, okay, which causes current to lag behind the voltage. So that means if this is your voltage phasor, let us take voltage phasor V, bus voltage, voltage across the load. This is the current, load current. This is load current IL. Let us assume load current lags behind the voltage by a phase angle phi L. Phi L is the load phase angle. Okay. Now you can resolve this load current into two components. One will be in phase component, a component of the current which is in phase with the voltage, which is called in phase component of the current or resistive component of current. And another is the component of current which is in quadrature with the voltage. This is the other component of current. Let us call this component of current as Ix. Now in this case, this Ix is the reactive component of current, and IR is the resistive component of current. Or IR is the in phase component of current because it is in phase with the voltage, and Ix is the quadrature component of current. Quadrature means it is 90 degrees out of phase with voltage. In this case, it is 90 degrees lagging, but in some cases it may be 90 degrees leading. It depends upon the load. So IR, phasor sum of IR and Ix gives the total load current IL. Okay, and what is load power factor? Load power factor is cos phi L. It is it is much smaller than unity, and we want to compensate it. What is our objective? Objective is to improve the power factor to unity. That means making the power factor angle equal to 0 degrees, so that cos 0 is 90 degrees. This is our aim, to correct the power factor to unity. This is the objective. Now load admittance is given as, I will write here, load admittance is given as YL is equal to conductance, load conductance plus J times load susceptance. You already know. Okay, so therefore load current, the current drawn by load from the system, IL, that is equal to load voltage into load admittance. That is equal to voltage is V, into admittance is GL plus JBL. So far so good. So load current we can write as V into GL is VGL plus JVBL, and V into GL is resistive component of current IR, which is this, plus J times V into BL is reactive component of current J into Ix. So this is load current IL, which is let's call this equation as equation 1. So load current IR in terms of admittance of the system is voltage into conductance plus J times voltage into susceptance. So this is the real part, this is the reactive part. The real component of current is IR as per this phasor diagram, and reactive component of current is Ix, quadrature component of current. Okay. So therefore, we have, our aim is to make power factor unity. Now let us write load. Let us try to find out load apparent power. Let us see. Once we know load current, just few moments back we have written load current. It is VGL plus JVBL, or it is IR, that is resistive component or in phase component, plus JIX, which is reactive component or quadrature component. Once you know load current, you can find load apparent power. That means how much power load is drawing from the source. Let us call that SL. So load apparent power SL is equal to, by definition, it is load voltage, it is voltage into current, complex conjugate of current, V into IL star. Okay, so SL is equal to V into what is IL? IL is IR plus JIX. It is IR plus JIX complex conjugate. So SL is equal to, we can say it is equal to V, this is equal to V into IR, complex conjugate means IR minus JIX, if you take this star out. Okay, so it is V times IR minus JIX. So therefore SL is equal to V into, what is resistive component of current equal to? It is IL cos phi L. As per this phasor diagram, what is the resistive component of current? This is base, this is hypotenuse, this is perpendicular. Base by hypotenuse is cos phi L. Base is IR, by hypotenuse is IL, is equal to cos phi L. So therefore, what is the resistive component of current from this equation? It is IL cos phi L. That's what I have written here. IR I have represented in terms of IL cos phi L plus J times, what is IX? IX is the quadrature component. Again, this is base, this is hypotenuse, and this is perpendicular. So base by hypotenuse, this is perpendicular, this is hypotenuse, this is base. That is perpendicular by hypotenuse is equal to sine phi L. Perpendicular, this is IX, so this is also IX. So IX is perpendicular by hypotenuse is IL, is equal to sine of this. So what is IX from this quadrature component? It is IL sine phi L. So I will write that here. So in place of IX, I will write IL sine phi L. IL sine phi L. Okay. So SL therefore is equal to V into IL cos phi L plus JV into IL sine phi L. So load apparent power is equal to, what is V into IL? Product of voltage, load voltage and load current. That is load apparent power SL cos phi L plus J times V into IL is again SL. SL sine phi L. Let us call this equation as equation 2. So this is load apparent power. This is the total apparent power required by load. It's SL cos phi L plus J SL sine phi L. So this is the active power component and this is the reactive power component, as we already know. So once we have written this equation, then let us, we can also write load, another form of this load apparent power, we can write as V into IL complex conjugate. We already know IL is equal to V into G plus JBL, load current. Okay, so IL is equal to V into G is VG plus JVBL, VBL. So therefore from this equation, load apparent power is equal to V into IL. IL is VG plus JVBL. So therefore load apparent power can also be written as V square, V into V is V square, this is GL plus JV square BL. See, this is V into IL star. IL star means complex conjugate, and that complex conjugate means this plus as minus. So this will be minus, this will be minus. So this is another equation. Let's call this equation as equation 3. This is another form of apparent power of the load. Okay, just few moments back we have written apparent power drawn by the load is SL cos phi L plus JSL sine phi L, minus JL SL sine phi L, and this is in terms of apparent power and this cos phi L and sine phi L. In terms of load parameters, that is GL and BL, it is load apparent power factor is V square GL minus JV square BL. This is equation 3. This was equation 2 and this is equation 3. Now from this, the active power demanded by the load is V square into GL, and the reactive power demanded by the load is minus V square into BL. It's given here. Let us call this equation as equation 4. Now our aim is to compensate for this load reactive power. Now suppose a compensator is connected across the load. Let a compensator, of course, when I say compensator, it is a shunt compensator. I will within bracket write shunt compensator. Let a shunt compensator be connected across the load. Let me show you the shunt compensator. This is the bus voltage. This is source current IS. This is your load which needs compensation. Load current is IL and I'm connecting a compensator across the load, a shunt compensator. This is my compensator, COMPN, compensator. Now let us suppose compensator current is I gamma. Okay, so compensator, I will write here compensator admittance. What is the admittance of compensator? Let us call that Y gamma. That is equal to G gamma plus J B gamma. Okay, so therefore compensator current, how much current is drawn by the compensator? Because compensator is the shunt compensator, it is connected across the load. That's why it's called shunt compensator. When it is connected across the load, across the same voltage, because same voltage which is getting applied across the load, same voltage gets applied across the compensator, and therefore compensator also draws a current which is called compensator current. So compensator current will be given by I gamma is equal to V into Y gamma, voltage across the compensator into compensator admittance. So I gamma will be equal to V into what is Y gamma? Y gamma is here G gamma plus J B gamma. Okay, and this has to be equal to minus Ix, because just few moments back we have seen that if this was the voltage, this was the load current. The load current was resolved into two components, Ix quadrature component and in phase component. Which component actually causes the current IL lag behind the voltage? It is not in phase component, because in phase component is in series with the voltage. It is in phase with the voltage. It is in phase with the voltage. It is the quadrature component which we have to compensate. So therefore this compensator is to be designed in such a way that it draws a current I gamma which is equal to minus Ix. That means if this is plus Ix, this plus Ix is the reactive component of current drawn by the load. This compensator should draw a current minus Ix which is equal and opposite to this minus Ix, so that the two currents cancel out each other and net current is only resistive component of current in the system. So therefore when I say that the compensator has to draw only reactive component of current, that means the real part of this equation is gone. So that means G gamma is equal to 0. So therefore compensator current will be then equal to minus J V B gamma, and that will be equal to minus J V B L. Okay, the susceptance of compensator should be same as susceptance of load. Only when this B gamma is equal to BL, the compensator will draw minus Ix which is equal to plus Ix of the load, and therefore it can be explained with the help of phasor diagram like this. If you draw the phasor diagram for this situation, this is the voltage vector, voltage phasor V. This is current IL which lags behind voltage by phi L. This is the resistive component or in phase component of current IR, and this is the reactive component of current Ix, and we want to cancel this reactive component of current. because you can see it is this reactive or quadrature component of current which causes this IL to be displaced with respect to voltage. It causes IL to lag behind the voltage by phase angle phi L and causes power factor equal to cos phi L, which is less than unity. In order to make power factor unity, compensator should inject a current Ix or I gamma into the system, which is equal to minus Ix. So that will be this. This is the length of Ix. This is the length of I gamma, which is equal to minus Ix. Now we can see this is the current injected by compensator or current drawn by the compensator. And what is this equal to? It is equal and opposite to Ix, where Ix is the reactive component of current drawn by the load. Now this vector or phasor is equal and opposite to this phasor, so they cancel out each other, and the result is that there remains only in phase component of current, और आपकी phasor diagram इस तरह modify हो जाएगी. If this is voltage phasor, this will be your current IL, and IL will be exclusively equal to IR. There is no IX because this IX has been compensated by the compensator. Compensator draws a current I gamma, which is equal to minus Ix, and minus Ix plus Ix becomes 0. And what is the total source current? Total source current is equal to load current plus compensator current. See, now load and compensator are connected across the source. So the total current drawn from the source is load current plus compensator current. So if you see source current, what is load current? Just few moments back we have proved that load current has a resistive component or in phase component, and it has a reactive component or quadrature component. And so this is source current. This is load current, IR plus JIX. And what is I gamma? I gamma अभी थोड़ी देर पहले हमने लिखा. I gamma is minus JIX. It is equal and opposite to this. So plus JIX, IX minus JIX cancel. So how much current your load is drawing from the source? It is drawing only resistive or in phase component of current. So therefore ये आपकी जो phasor diagram है ये बन जाती है. This is the applied voltage across the load. So therefore load draws only resistive or in phase component of current, which is in phase with the voltage. It does not draw any reactive component of current. वो reactive component of current जो load को चाहिए था वो कहाँ से आता है? वो compensator provide करता है. Because compensator current I gamma is equal to minus Ix. So पहले compensator की absence में वो Ix source से आता था, उससे आपकी load current it would lag behind the voltage by phi L और आपका power factor less than unity बन जाता था. That means your load was drawing reactive power also in addition to active power. Now in order that the reactive power should not come from the source, the load power factor should become unity, or the power factor of the system should become unity. And that is possible only if I connect a shunt compensator across the load, so that this shunt compensator draws a current I gamma which is equal to the reactive, equal and opposite to the reactive component of current demanded by the load. In other words, whatever is the reactive power demand of the load, that should not come from the generator or source. That should be locally supplied by the compensator. So compensator provides the reactive component of current, and hence it injects the reactive power into the bus, and that reactive power is drawn by the load. Earlier load, in absence of compensator, load was drawing reactive power from the source. Now it will be locally drawing that reactive power from compensator. So what type of power now load will draw from the source? Only active power. So load current is equal to IR. It is in phase with the voltage. So therefore what is phi L? Phi L is 0 degree. So therefore power factor of the system becomes cos phi L, which is cos 0, 1. So this is how you improve the power factor of the system. And this is the phasor diagram under this condition. Okay. So this is how a shunt compensator results in power factor correction or reactive power compensation. Okay. Now, when you design, I have already told you that when you connect the compensator across the load for load compensation, in this case, what type of compensation has to be done? Reactive power compensation or power factor correction. So this is how it does. Now you have to calculate the apparent power rating of this compensator. अगर आपका लोड से 10 MVA है, what will be the rating of the compensator? It is not that you just get a compensator and connect it here. You have to properly design it. You have to calculate its reactive power rating, its apparent power rating. So I will write here rating of compensator. Let us try to design the compensator and calculate its rating. Rating of compensator, it is S gamma is equal to active power injected by the or supplied by the compensator plus reactive power supplied by the compensator. We already know it does not supply any active power, it only compensates the reactive power. The active power comes from the source. So therefore S gamma is equal to JQR. Okay, and it is equal to voltage V gamma, or V gamma is same as voltage into current I gamma. What is current? What is voltage across it? V, and how much current it draws? I gamma, complex conjugate. Okay, so S gamma is equal to V is the voltage, and S I gamma, just few moments back we derived I gamma was equal to minus Ix, and if you remember it was minus JVB gamma, minus JVBL. So I will substitute that here. So it will be minus JVBL. Okay, so therefore apparent power rating or rating of the compensator will be equal to V into V is V square, so it will be J V square BL. तो इस तरह से आप कंपनसेटर की रेटिंग निकालते हो. तो कंपनसेटर की रेटिंग निकालने के लिए अगर आपको बस वोल्टेज या वोल्टेज अक्रॉस लोड पता है और लोड की ससेप्टेंस पता है BL, so you can find the rating of the compensator. Another way of finding the rating of compensator, a more practical way of finding the rating of compensator is S gamma is equal to, since rating of compensator, it has to supply only the reactive power, not active power. So it is equal to Q gamma. So it is equal to minus QL. Q gamma means load reactive power. How much reactive power this compensator has to supply? It has to supply load reactive power. Okay. And if you remember, हमने एक equation लिखी थी load apparent power की, that was few minutes back, SL cos phi L minus JSL sin phi L. ये जो है ये है एक्टिव पावर ऑफ द लोड, और ये जो है ये है रिएक्टिव पावर ऑफ द लोड. ये कंपनसेटर क्या करेगा? एक्टिव पावर ये सप्लाई नहीं करेगा. एक्टिव पावर तो सोर्स से आएगा, जनरेटर से आएगा. इट विल लोकली सप्लाई द रिएक्टिव पावर. जब कंपनसेटर नहीं था, वो रिएक्टिव पावर भी सोर्स से आता था. उससे सोर्स करंट लैग करती थी वोल्टेज को बाय सर्टेन एंगल, और पावर फैक्टर लेस देन यूनिटी बन जाता था. दैट इज सोर्स वाज supplying not only active power at that time, it was supplying reactive power also. But now when you connect the shunt compensator across the load, it is the job of this compensator to supply the reactive power, whereas only active power should come from the load, and active power coming from the load means that is source current is in phase with the voltage, so power factor becomes unity 1.0. So active power will come from the load, reactive power will be supplied by compensator. And how much reactive power it has to supply? SL sin phi L. So I will write it has to supply the reactive power minus SL sin phi L. We already know sin square phi L plus cos square phi L is equal to 1. So therefore what is sin phi L? It will be under root of 1 minus cos square phi L. Substitute here. So therefore rating of compensator will be S gamma is equal to SL into under root of, into sin phi L. Sin phi L is under root of 1 minus cos square phi L. This is the most practical way of finding the power rating of shunt compensator. आपको लोड पता है, लेट अस सपोज लोड इज 10 MVA, और लोड रिएक्टिव पावर सपोज इट ड्रॉज ए रिएक्टिव पावर ऑफ 4 मेगावाट्स. सो लोड का रिएक्टिव पावर आपको पता है, और लोड का अपरेंट पावर रेटिंग आपको पता है, से 10 MVA. सो SL इज 10 MVA. लोड का पावर फैक्टर भी आपको पता है, if you know how much reactive power it is drawing, आप पावर फैक्टर निकाल सकते हो। अगर आपको एक्टिव पावर पता है और एक्टिव पावर कितना ड्रॉ करता है, तो पावर फैक्टर आप सिंपली निकाल सकते हो। एक्टिव पावर ड्रॉन बाय द लोड बाय डिवाइडेड बाय इट्स एमवीए रेटिंग। एमवीए रेटिंग इसकी 10 एमवीए। ओके, सो एक्टिव पावर आपको लोड का पता है डिवाइडेड बाय अपरेंट पावर विच इज से फॉर एग्जांपल इन दिस केस 10 एमवीए, तो आपको पावर फैक्टर पता चलेगा। अपरेंट पावर रेटिंग कितनी है? 10 एमवीए। 10 एमवीए इंटू अंडर रूट ऑफ 1 माइनस कॉस स्क्वायर फाई एल, पावर फैक्टर cos phi l ये निकलेगा P by S। तो यहाँ सब्स्टिट्यूट कर लीजिए, दिस विल गिव यू द रेटिंग ऑफ द कंपनसेटर। सो वंस यू नो द रेटिंग ऑफ द कंपनसेटर, put it across the bus or across the load, so all the reactive power or reactive component of current which was earlier coming from the source, that will be locally supplied by this shunt compensator, and hence source will be relieved of supplying the additional reactive component of current, and therefore source power factor or power factor of the system will be corrected to unity. It will become unity. This is how we can use a load compensator or a shunt compensator for power factor correction or reactive power compensation. और अगर लोड खाली एक्टिव पावर सप्लाई कर रहा है, रिएक्टिव पावर नहीं सप्लाई कर रहा है, रिएक्टिव पावर comes from the compensator, so therefore the source current becomes only equal to resistive component of current. It doesn't have to supply reactive component of current. Therefore MVA rating generator, transformer, transmission line की कम हो जाएगी, and current also flowing in the generator, transformer, transmission line decreases. It is only IR, तो उसमें losses कम हो जाएंगी लाइन्स में, ट्रांसफार्मर्स में, और voltage regulation भी improve हो जाएगी, because voltage regulation is because of the voltage drop in the lines in the feeder, the load voltage में decrease। जब आप current ही कम कर रहे हो जो source से आ रही है because of power factor correction, so load voltage regulation भी improve हो जाएगी। So therefore shunt compensation decreases the current drawn from the source, and hence you don't need to increase the MVA rating of generator, transformer, transmission lines। वो the current drawn from the source decreases, उससे losses भी system में कम हो जाएगी, I square R losses, और voltage regulation भी यहाँ improve हो जाएगी। अब what type of shunt compensator, आपने basic electrical engineering में पढ़ा होगा, circuit theory, AC circuit theory में, this compensator generally आप substation में भी देखेंगे, अगर if this is your load and you want to provide the reactive power compensation of the load, what you do, you connect a capacitor across the load, because if load is demanding reactive current, inductive current, that capacitor generates the reactive current, and that reactive current, instead of coming from the source, is locally supplied by the shunt capacitor. This is the simplest way of having a shunt compensator across the load, or load compensator, capacitor. But the problem with capacitor is that if it is, susceptance is fixed, say its susceptance is B gamma, it's fixed, the capacitive reactance is fixed, the capacitance is fixed, and if the reactive power demand here varies, it will not be able to supply the variable reactive power demand. Say sometimes reactive power demand by the load may be 1 megawatt, sometimes it may require 2.5 megawatts, sometimes it may require 3 megawatts. If you have connected a fixed capacitor here, it will give only one compensation, fixed compensation. It will not be able to cater to variable compensations. So it will fail to provide variable compensation. What is solution to that problem? The solution to that problem is that instead of connecting one capacitor, you connect a bank of capacitors in parallel. You connect many capacitors in parallel and switch them one by one. Suppose if your reactive power demand is only 1 megawatt, switch only this. Say, let us call this C1. And keep all others off. This is off, this is not connected, this is also not connected. Suppose your reactive power demand increases from 1 megawatt to 2.5 megawatt. You may have to connect this capacitor bank also. And if reactive power demand further increases, you may have to connect third capacitor bank also, then fourth capacitor bank. So therefore, with one capacitor bank, C1, the reactive power supplied is QC1. When you connect C2 also in parallel, the reactive power increases in discrete steps like this QC1 plus QC2. If you connect C3 also, then reactive power will further increase, QC1 plus QC2 plus QC3. And if you connect C4 also, it will further increase, QC1 plus QC2 plus QC3 plus QC4. So therefore, variable reactive power demand, one method is to have a shunt connected capacitor bank and switch the capacitor banks according to the reactive power demand. So that will increase or decrease the reactive power in steps. But the problem here is again that if you want very quick, reactive power compensation, the mechanical switches which are connected here, they will take some time to operate. So there will be lag in the response, number one. And then the compensation is not continuous, it is in discrete steps. When you go from QC1 to QC1 plus QC2, there may be mismatch between load reactive power and reactive power supplied by these two capacitors together. This reactive power supplied by these two capacitors may be slightly more than the reactive power demand of the load, or even slightly less. Okay, the modern power electronics based compensators are not capacitor compensators. Okay, in modern power electronics we connect D-STATCOM. You'll study that in future lectures. The voltage source inverter like this, it is called D-STATCOM, distribution static synchronous compensator, which is a voltage source converter having a DC link with VDC voltage, which converts this DC voltage into AC voltage, and it provides continuous and smooth reactive power control, continuous and very fast response. The load reactive power demand may vary quickly, and this caters to that. The response of this is very fast, and it smoothly and continuously controls the reactive power. It gives a better dynamic control of the load compensation. So this is one of the custom power devices, D-STATCOM. It can be connected across the load, and it will result in reactive, continuous and smooth reactive power compensation, and it will always maintain the power factor unity. It will result in power factor correction and hence reactive power compensation. So this is how load compensation is done, how parallel or shunt compensator is connected across the load for first type of power factor, this first type of power quality improvement, that is power factor correction or reactive power compensation. I will stop here. Inshallah, in our next lecture we will again discuss a shunt compensator, but not for power factor correction purpose. We'll connect the shunt compensator for voltage regulation, improved voltage regulation across the load. So that is second application of shunt compensator. So we will discuss that in next lecture. I end my today's lecture. I advise all of you to go through this lecture and give your feedback. Wish you all the best. Thank you.